Years ago, the United States Pro Championship was run the way baseball is today, total number of points. For instance, a rider could ride Sunday night in New York, Monday, Providence, Tuesday back into New York, Wednesday, Newark, the home of cycling, Thursday, Philadelphia, Friday, back into New York, Saturday night, Newark, Sunday afternoon, Newark, Sunday night, New York. That's 8 times a week, and the riders had to be careful they didn't go stale because you couldn't train. The greatest pro champion was Frank L. Kramer of Newark, New Jersey. He won the championship 16 consecutive years, and then 2 years later he won it twice more. That was 18 years at all, and that's when cycling was a major sport in America.
At the peak of his career, Kramer earned more money in a season than Babe Ruth, and pro bike races often outdrew big league baseball. In 1929, the U.S. Pro Champion was Freddie Spencer. He was one of the sport's last big money winners. The Great Depression and warring promoters put an end to cycling's golden age. Nearly half a century later, pro cycling has re-emerged in America. The stakes are again high. It's the form that has changed. Today's big money is in European-style road racing, single and multi-day tests that push riders to the limits of physical and mental endurance. Today's pro cyclist must race relentlessly for 6 hours, push back fatigue, and force tired muscles beyond the threshold of reason. And always present is the risk of serious injury. Until recently, this sports phenomenon was confined to Europe. But in 1986, Greg LeMond became the first American to win the Tour de France. Other Americans have emerged to challenge the Europeans. And suddenly, pro cycling is once again an American sport.
By 7-11's Eric Heiden, and he's outdistanced now the 2 Danish riders, Tom Chauner.
A real breakthrough occurred in 1985. Eric Heiden, America's Olympic speed skating hero, won the inaugural CoreStates Championship, the first ever European-style classic and the new National Road Racing Championship for American professionals. It was a day that catapulted the sport into the limelight.
This is the biggest win I've ever had in my life, you know. It's the first time I've ridden in national championships, and then to have this at professional level with all these Europeans here is... Whew.
Heiden's victory put the CoreStates Championship on the map, and it drew attention to the fact that the American public, at least in Philadelphia, where the race is held each year, is ready to embrace this new American sport.
I think the CoreStates Championship is becoming the biggest single special event, sporting event for the city of Philadelphia, and they're really excited about it. It's the one event in the city that links Center City with the neighborhood, but Manayunk is the flavor of the race.
It is fitting that the city that hosted the birth of our nation is also the first city in America to host a new sports classic. Philadelphians are people who get involved in their community. And Philadelphia is a city that goes crazy for sports. Big crowds turn out for the big events. And to top it off, a sports event in Philly is another excuse to party.
Let's go, guys! 7-11,
But the race wouldn't be a real sporting event without big stakes and high drama. It will take over 6 hours. The weather is hot and the humidity is high. It is a day that can make or shatter a young man's dream of glory. The racers set off on a 156-mile jaunt that loops Philadelphia 10 times. The main focus is the start-finish area around the majestic Benjamin Franklin Parkway. From there, the racers head out Kelly Drive along the Schuylkill River, where cyclists and rowers glide side by side. Next, it's on to the Manayunk Wall, a major challenge that each racer must analyze for himself.
The wall really is a major obstacle in the race. You not only have to prepare yourself psychologically going into the wall, you also have to prepare yourself logistically, geographically in the pack. There's always a big fight to get to the front just before the wall.
It's the type of hill that everyone underestimates, I think. As the day wears on, it'll become more and more difficult. And people think, well, gee, it's only half a mile long and I'm used to doing these long climbs, but it'll definitely be a selection each time as the race goes on.
From the wall, it's a downhill plunge and 7 miles of flat along the river back to Center City, interrupted only by Lemon Hill, a short but rhythm-breaking hump a half mile from the parkway. The circuit's biggest rush comes from the crowds that line Philadelphia's most famous boulevard.
They say that Ben Franklin's modeled on the Champs-Élysées in France. Well, I guess it is. It's very wide, so it's excellent for the sprinters. But the course is also helpful to the climbers because you've got the wall at one end, you've got the finish at the other end of the circuit. So both types of rider can succeed. I mean, Eric Heiden is not a climber. He won the race in '85, but because of the sprint finish, and yet he survived on the wall. Last year you had Raul Alcala win all the climbs, and he didn't make the finish as first place. Tom Fenn did.
Pre-race predictions have meant little in guessing the CoreStates winner. In 1986, Thomas Pren of the underdog Schwen team and 36-year-old Jorgen Markussen of Denmark waited in the pack for over 5 hours before making a last-lap attack. Despite a determined chase by the 7-Eleven team, the two were never caught. Pren's explosive final stretch sprint made him the second U.S. professional road champion in history. The winner takes a $20,000 cut of the $100,000 purse, the richest prize list in the world for a single-day classic. Big prize money means that the field gets stronger each year, and more Europeans are joining in the hunt. The powerful Danish squad has always finished well. They are relaxed team players with a single-minded strategy.
The Danish team has a good strategy tomorrow. We're going to win the race. It's the best strategy you can have to win the race. But also good preparation for the Tour of France. If one of the Danish riders have a very good day tomorrow, we ride for him. If I have a very good day tomorrow, they ride for me.
The two big American squads are 7-Eleven and Schwen. Each has had a team member win the CoreStates title, and each wants to repeat. In bicycle racing, teamwork is essential. To ensure that every man works for the team, prize money is usually split evenly, and detailed strategy meetings determine who plays the support roles and who goes for the win.
I think that the two most protected riders going into this race are going to be McCormick and Braz. And that is based on just the way they've been riding all year up until this point. I mean, I don't think anyone here can argue the fact that, you know, they've been the most aggressive and also consistent. And if somebody does disagree with that, I'd like to hear it now.
Massaging egos is a big part of the team director's job. Massaging legs falls into the hands of the team soigneur.
You get a rub? Oh, it's something like you look forward to every day, especially in stage races.
Yeah.
You know, you know, when we race day after day after day, I mean, you get fatigued, and it's something, you know, a half hour, an hour on the table. It's you know, it's very enjoyable. You know, it's relaxing. It gives you just feel a lot better mentally, you know, and physically, you know, it's obviously it helps.
The equipment needed to keep the Schwen team on the road could stock a fair-sized bike shop. It's the mechanic's job to have it all race-ready. It is a thankless task, one that requires skill and dedication that is well beyond a normal day's work.
Yeah, well, I got 3 hours of sleep. I started working when we got at about 5 in the afternoon, and stopped working at about 2 in the morning, and got up at 5. So, not quite all night, but close enough for me.
A mechanic without sleep can survive. A racer without sleep is in trouble, unless his name is Roy Nickman. Nickman, a 22-year-old from Boulder, Colorado, rides for a French team. They arrived from Europe in the middle of the night, only 7 hours before the start of today's grueling race. The team had come to support Nickman in his home country. Despite his fatigue, Nickman relished the thought of a rare shot at glory.
Normally our team just sort of does a program where whoever's in the best opportunity wins the race, you know. And in this race, it differs in the way that, and normally I would just ride for whoever. Where this race, I'm going to look out for myself a little bit more, and the other riders know that this is special for me because it's the U.S. Championships, and I want to, you know, I want to win the race really bad. And I have the preparation to do it too, so it's a good possibility. So it'll be a little bit more one-sided. They'll try to help me a little bit more if they can.
Experts say Nickman is talented but impetuous. He either rides brilliantly or blows up. His French team believes in him, but must constantly monitor his performance to protect their investment.
There's more of an opportunity there for the big time, you know, for things, if they fall into place, things to really happen big. And I always try to do things a little bit different. So this year is sort of the year to take the risk, you know. And with Toshiba, they gave me the opportunity, and they gave me a deal I couldn't refuse.
America has one team that campaigns in Europe. Some of its members are paid six-figure salaries to ride big classics, such as the Tour de France. Their sponsor expects them to dominate the CoreStates.
Yeah, we just going to go out there and be aggressive and, you know, do our best just to win the race. Whether it's me or somebody else, that's what we really want to do.
To the uninitiated, cycling hardly seems like a team sport, but a long bike race is like a football game. The man who scores the touchdown has the way paved by his teammates. The winning strategy evolves during the race. It is usually based on who feels good and who happens to be in the right place at the right time. The team director must read the race from all perspectives. He calls the shots. Drafting or sitting in conserves energy and becomes a big factor later in the race. So does pushing the pace when everyone else is tired. The key is knowing when it's right to do one or the other.
Well, I think our strategy today is to watch for the early breaks, have some of our riders cover those breaks and try to have some presence in them. And about at the halfway point in the race, start to be real aggressive and have people trying to get away. And we want to be the aggressors today. We want to be on the offense all day today. So we're hoping that we can get somebody off the front with some time, and the rest of the guys will work in the back to try to keep that breakaway.
The early race played into 7-Eleven's hands. Nickman attacked hard from the beginning, and with French teammate Pascal Dubois, forced the pace of an 11-man breakaway. Each of the top teams was represented. Covering for 7-Eleven was Tom Chauner, a 30-year-old veteran who always worked selflessly for the team.
My job in the race today is to cover any early breakaways, say in the first 100 miles of the race, so 7-Eleven will have a good shot at victory later in the day.
Nickman was on a roll. His relentless pressure at the front helped carry the breakaway to a 7-minute lead. Nickman's aggressive riding so early in the race was beyond reason to everyone but him.
I rode it as hard as I could. I took total risk instead of sitting in and sitting in and sitting in and waiting and waiting and waiting and hoping for something to happen. I rode at the front. And because I've been feeling better, which is another totally weird thing, you know, a month ago, I was so bad. After Paris-Roubaix, I went home, took vacation, and now I feel great. It's like all of a sudden, 30% more power, just like that, just like someone hit a switch in my leg halfway to the Dauphiné, and I feel so much stronger.
The fast pace of the breakaway so early in the race took its toll. Eric Heiden dropped out after only 60 miles. With little time to train this year, his famous legs couldn't take the strain. By mid-race, nourishment becomes an important preoccupation of the team support crews.
We set the bags up as we go along, and they've been picking up, on the average, a bag per lap. And there'll be a bottle of water and a bottle of this sports drink and a little bit of fruit or some cookies or something. So each rider in 10 laps will use 8 to 10 bags, which would be 16 to 20 bottles of water.
The feed zone always attracts interest. Experienced trainers must spot their riders in the pack and make sure each musette gets in the right hands. Calmness and good timing are critical here. A mistake can mean disaster. In bike racing, there are no timeouts. Usually a crash is just an annoying delay. But for Tom Brosnowski, one of the Schwinn team's top contenders, this crash meant lost time that couldn't be made up. With Brosnowski out of contention, his team's shot at victory was greatly reduced. On-the-road servicing for fallen riders is done from the race caravan, some 25 team cars and support vehicles, each loaded with equipment, drivers, and mechanics that patiently await the panic button. After a rider is serviced, it is up to the team driver to get his car back into the caravan as fast as possible. Sometimes speed and experience aren't enough. When Willy Engelbrecht of Belgium's ADR team jammed his gears, the problem was too big to fix in the critical 20 seconds needed to keep him in the race. As the precious time ran out, Engelbrecht saw his hopes packed into the trunk of a car. After nearly 100 miles of racing and 6 times up the Manayunk wall, the 11-man breakaway still had a commanding lead. Dubois and Nickman were still forcing the pace, determined on holding the group's big time cushion for as long as possible. The Danes had only one rider in the lead group. For Soren Lilhold, a pre-race favorite, it was time for the chasers to close the gap. Since Chauner was also outnumbered in the breakaway, the 7-Elevens joined in the 35-mile-an-hour chase. They began to eat up ground. In the front group, Nickman tried to urge the tiring riders to keep the pressure on. In less than a lap, their lead had been cut from 7 minutes to 4. By Lemon Hill, Nickman's patience was gone. When he put the pressure on, only Chauner chose to respond. They opened up a small gap. It was a do-or-die moment in the race. The two decided to combine energy and forge ahead together. Without Nickman's drive, the lead group quickly faded. Tom Chauner had made an all-or-nothing choice.
I could see that Nickman was the strength of the breakaway, and I knew that if I was going to be a factor in the outcome of the race, I better be with him.
The dramatic battle scene was set. Could Nickman and Chauner stay away alone after being in the lead for over 4 hours? It was anyone's guess.
Roy Nickman and Tom Chauner, 3:39 to the chase group and 4:20.
Already had some folks on we haven't mentioned in a while who've dropped.
But it looks like he'll be okay. There was no serious neck injuries, but the race really is starting to develop. We have
the race. It could be a big factor in determining the outcome. Pretty big factor in you.
Tom Chauner, never considered a pre-race favorite, was suddenly becoming a hero. His strength and experience began to show through, just as Nickman's energy finally started to fade. But to stay in the lead, they needed each other. Chauner eased and Nickman surged forward as they rounded the turn at the top of the wall. The duo had a slim 2-minute lead on two hard-charging Prince team riders, Jorgen Marcussen of Denmark and Italy's Cesar Cipollini. They had blasted out of the chasing pack on the 8th lap. With less than 30 miles to go, there were over 60 riders within 3 minutes of Nickman and Chauner. The race was still wide open.
The whole idea was just to have a few people catch us. Even then, I was hoping to make it over the hill and then maybe have someone catch us.
Jim Akowitz, Chauner's team director, pulled alongside to tell Chauner it was his race from here on in. A moment later, Nickman was told they were about to be caught. Incredibly, Cipollini and Marcussen had closed a 2-minute gap in less than 10 miles. The alliance was both a blessing and a curse. Marcussen and Cipollini were two more who would help share the pace, but they were both on the same team and would work together against the Americans. It was the final time up the wall, and Nickman was in big trouble. The three had opened up a gap that looked critical.
I was worried when they turned the corner. I said, wow, I let them have too much. I realized that I was catching up really quickly, and I just blasted through the cars, zigzagging and threading through. And actually, Tom was waiting for me to come back. He didn't want to get worked over by two guys.
With 12 miles to the finish, the main field was 2 minutes behind. But with 7-Eleven, Toshiba, and Team Prince not working, there was slim hope of catching the four leaders. The leaders couldn't risk blowing their advantage and continued to work together for the first two loops on the parkway. Tactics changed on the final round. Excess baggage was ejected, and the riders began to maneuver for the sprint. In cycling, positioning going into the final stretch is critical. Tom Chauner explains.
At that point in the race, it becomes a race between four people, so you block out everything else, and I was blocking out basically the other two riders, Markussen and Nickman, and I had to concentrate on Cipollini because I was not familiar with his sprinting. At that point, it's just cat and mouse between the four guys, and especially between myself and Cipollini, to make sure I had the better position instead of Cipollini.
Chauner had been here 2 years before, but then he blew the sprint when his foot ripped out of his shoe. But this year was a different story.
Slowing down a little bit for the last pause before that acceleration. You can see way up at the top of your screen the finish line banner. It's about 400 meters. There goes Nickman. Nickman going first, and it looks like Chauner now on his wheel with Jorgen Marcus and Cipollini in third spot. It's Nickman riding very hard. Here comes Chauner coming close up around the outside. Chauner trying to make it by. It's Tom Chauner in the lead. Tom Chauner in the lead. Tom Chauner from 7-11 to Cipollini and Chauner.